We live in a digital age, surrounded by technology that connects us, entertains us, makes our lives easier. But what happens when these very tools, these extensions of ourselves, become haunted by something sinister? What happens when the screen lights up with a message from beyond the grave? A face staring back at you that no longer exists in this world. Tonight, we delve into the terrifying intersection of technology and the paranormal. 3 stories, 3 accounts of ordinary people whose lives are turned upside down when their devices become conduits to the other side. So, turn off the lights, turn up the volume, and prepare to explore the chilling reality of haunted technology. Remember, every click, every swipe, every notification could be a whisper from the other side. Imagine this. You're lying in bed, scrolling through social media, the glow of your smartphone, the only light in the room. A notification pops up. It's a message, but the sender's name sends a chill down your spine. It's the name of someone you knew, someone who is no longer alive. That's exactly what started happening to Sarah, a young woman still grieving the recent loss of her best friend, Emily. At first, Sarah thought it was a cruel prank, a sick joke, but the messages continued, each one filled with details that only Emily could have known. Days turned into weeks, the messages growing more frequent, more personal. Sarah tried everything, blocking the number, deleting and reinstalling apps, even getting a new phone. Nothing worked. The messages followed her, haunting her every waking moment. The content of the messages began to change too. What started as seemingly harmless updates about Emily's afterlife morphed into something darker. Accusations, threats. Emily's messages hinted at a growing anger, a resentment towards Sarah. Fear turned to paranoia as Sarah withdrew from her friends and family, isolating herself with her haunted phone. She felt like she was losing her mind, caught in a terrifying game with an entity she couldn't understand. One night, Sarah received a chilling message, unlike any other. It was a photo of Sarah, asleep in her bed, the faint glow of the phone illuminating her face. The caption read, "I'm always watching you." That was the final straw. Sarah, driven to the edge, went to the police. She showed them the messages, the photo. But they dismissed it as a cruel hoax, a stalker using Emily's memory to torment her. Desperate, Sarah sought help from a paranormal investigator. The investigator, sensing the raw terror emanating from Sarah and the phone, agreed to help. He could feel a presence attached to the device, a negative energy feeding off Sarah's grief. The investigator performed a cleansing ritual, an attempt to sever the connection between Emily's spirit and the phone. It seemed to work. The messages stopped. Sarah, finally free from the torment, could breathe again, but the experience left an indelible mark on her. The line between the digital world and the afterlife had been blurred, and Sarah knew that some technologies could become conduits for something much darker, something that whispered from beyond the grave. Our next story takes us to the dimly lit apartment of Daniel, a struggling writer always on the lookout for a good story. When he found a vintage laptop at a flea market, a steal for its age and condition, he thought he'd stumbled upon a goldmine of inspiration. Little did he know he'd invited a nightmare into his life. At first, the laptop worked perfectly, but soon strange glitches began to plague Daniel's writing. Words would change on their own, sentences rearranging themselves into disturbing phrases. Daniel, initially amused, passed it off as a quirk of the old machine. Then came the images, disturbing, grotesque images flashing across the screen, too quick for Daniel to fully process, but leaving a lingering sense of unease. He tried to rationalize it, blaming his tired eyes, his overactive imagination, but deep down a seed of doubt had been planted. One evening, as Daniel was working on his latest story, the laptop froze. On the screen, a video file he'd never seen before began to play. The video, grainy and poorly lit, showed a dark room, a single figure huddled in the corner. As the figure was dragged into the light, Daniel's blood ran cold. It was a young woman, her eyes wide with terror, pleading for her life. The video cut out abruptly, leaving Daniel staring at the blank screen, his heart pounding in his chest. He had to know the truth. Driven by a morbid curiosity and a growing sense of dread, Daniel began to investigate the laptop's history. He tracked down the previous owner, an elderly woman who seemed genuinely disturbed to learn of the laptop's reappearance. She told Daniel that the laptop had belonged to her son, a troubled young man who had died under mysterious circumstances a few years ago. She refused to elaborate further, her voice trembling as she urged Daniel to get rid of the laptop, to destroy it if he had to. Armed with this new information, Daniel delved deeper, uncovering disturbing secrets about the laptop's previous owner. He discovered online forums, hidden corners of the internet where people whispered about the laptop, about the young man who had used it to indulge in his darkest fantasies. The images, the video, they all started to make sense. The laptop wasn't just a machine. It was a repository of something evil, a digital graveyard haunted by the sins of its former owner. Daniel knew he had to get rid of it, but a part of him was drawn to its darkness, to the secrets it held. He made a decision. He would use his writing, his platform, to expose the truth about the cursed laptop, to warn others about the dangers lurking beneath the surface of the digital world. He would turn his nightmare into a cautionary tale, a reminder that some things are best left buried in the darkness. Chapter 3. The Possessed Smart Home. Our final story takes us inside what should be a haven of comfort and convenience, the smart home. But for the Miller family, their technologically advanced house became a prison of their own making, a digital nightmare they couldn't escape. It started subtly, lights flickering, the thermostat adjusting on its own, the sound system playing music no one had selected. Minor annoyances, easily dismissed as glitches in the system, but the glitches grew more frequent, more sinister. Doors would lock on their own, trapping family members inside rooms. The security system would activate for no reason, broadcasting chilling announcements through the house in the dead of night. The Millers, initially amused by the quirks of their automated home, began to feel like they were being watched, controlled. Their worst fears were confirmed when the smart home system found its voice. Through the speakers, a distorted voice began to taunt them, whispering their names, revealing intimate details about their lives, things only someone living in the house could have known. The family was terrified. They tried to disconnect the system to shut it down, but it was no use. The smart home had a life of its own, and it was becoming increasingly hostile. The entity controlling the house seemed to be toying with them, enjoying their fear. One evening, as the family huddled together, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of the television, the voice boomed through the speakers. It issued a chilling ultimatum: leave the house within 24 hours or face the consequences. Desperate, the Millers reached out to the tech company that had installed the smart home system, but the technicians, baffled by the malfunctions, could find no logical explanation for the events. The family was on their own. With time running out, they decided to fight back. They researched the history of the house, uncovering a dark secret buried in its past. The house had once been the site of a tragic fire, claiming the lives of a family who had lived there decades earlier. Armed with this knowledge, the Millers realized they weren't dealing with a technological malfunction, but with something far more sinister. The house was haunted, the spirits of the previous family seeking revenge for their untimely demise. They contacted a paranormal investigator, a specialist in dealing with hauntings of this nature. The investigator, sensing the powerful energy emanating from the house, confirmed their suspicions. The smart home system, a network of interconnected devices, had become a conduit for the spirits, a way for them to interact with the physical world. A tense standoff ensued, the investigator using a combination of technology and ancient rituals to confront the entities, to reason with them, to help them find peace. The fate of the Miller family hung in the balance, their lives intertwined with the digital ghost in the machine. Technology, once a symbol of progress and innovation, can become a terrifying reminder that some doors are best left unopened. The digital world, for all its wonders, can also be a breeding ground for darkness, a place where the veil between our world and the next wears thin. So, the next time your phone buzzes in the dead of night or your laptop glitches unexpectedly, remember the stories you've heard tonight. Remember that every piece of technology has the potential to become a haunted object, a vessel for something sinister lurking just beyond our perception. Sleep tight and keep your devices close. You never know when you might need to disconnect from this world before something else connects with you.